Okay, now we're going to try and put all this together. Um, the foundation is kind of built. Okay, we've got the read pattern with the seam read and the circle read. We've got stitch and squeeze, and now how are we going to kind of put that together and make it a usable framework for a quarterback and kind of unlock all these things that we talked about that we wanted out of the passing game. So to take you back in time a little bit and kind of explain some things, this is the old way for several years, a long time ago, that we ran read, and it's a standard 4 verticals. Okay, so we've got a locked seam to the field. We've got a circle read on the outside that can become a comeback, or if it's uncapped, it can just become a go. And then we've got our read concept that we've already gone over. And to get an outlet, we're going to put some sort of drag or check down from the back underneath of the verticals. All right, a lot of people do that. It's great. People still do it to this day. That's the way a lot of people run it. It's very run and shootish. That's still, kind of the way a lot of their street read stuff works. So what's wrong with it? Well, nothing, but that had some issues that we felt like we could improve on. Okay, first of all, one of the first things that we kind of decided is that a field comeback from the high school hash is not necessarily a makeable throw from year to year. We've certainly had guys that can make that throw, but we've had quarterbacks that can't. So is that really realistic? We had some issues with, okay, what's going to be, really our pressure beater here. A lot of times we end up just picking best matchup. If we get any kind of pressure, is there anything to really, if we've got a zone pressure, that's something where we really need to get the ball out fast, and it's a sim pressure, let's say, where they're really busting our protection, and so they've got pretty solid coverage on the back end. And really all they give up is something underneath. Do we really have anything there? Okay, well, we really don't, because it's going to take a little while for, even if you get the comeback to the field, for that to kind of open up. And we looked at several different things, and we decided that we felt like we could take things that we had and we could maybe improve upon the 4 vertical framework we were using, and kind of give you an idea of the way we looked at it. You want to have the effect of 4 verticals, but do you necessarily have to have 4 vertical routes down the field, or are you sometimes kind of wasting those guys? Okay, so what is it that you want out of 4 verticals? All right, the reason why you run 4 verticals is to get explosives. Okay, it's one of the best plays of all time for being able to get the ball down the field. That's why the air raid guys call it 6. You get a bunch of explosives. Okay, so that's number 1. All right, you want to be able to back up safeties, force them to play too high because you're killing them with 4 verticals, clean up the box by making overhangs have to really reroute and try and impact your inside slots, and so now your run game's better. All right, you typically want to get that out of 4 verticals. Make defenses have to have part of the whole principle of what they are on defense is how can we match 4 verticals from every set they're in. Okay, versus 1 high, you want to be able to get an open guy in the seam. We've already talked about that. Versus 2 high, you want to either get a chance to have some kind of clean stop or comeback or edge throw and a clean one-on-one outside, or you want to get like a bender, dig, curl versus a hash safety. All right. Versus man, you want to either have a good matchup or a route running away from man coverage. Okay. And then optimally, you figure out a way to remove the reroutes on the slots. Okay. What we found and what we researched and what we experimented with and spent a lot of time on is that you can really get all those things without actually running 4 verticals, and you can affect the defense in the exact same way. And so you now can unlock some things that give you all those things without you having to just sell out to, all right, we're going to have 4 guys going deep on a play. And once we kind of realized that, we realized that there's actually a lot that we could do and be really creative into figuring out some new ways to throw the football. So this for us is a read concept. So in our offense, we're going to have every year 7 to 8 different types of progression or read concepts. And everything that we do, even if we may have 3 or 4 or 5 different patterns within that one concept, the reads stay the same for the quarterback. And one of those, the one that we incorporate in our seam read system, is read, which is, we've already talked about the seam read concept. So if we say read, that automatically tells the quarterback, all right, here's my thought process. I'm going to have some type of front side pattern, okay, that gives me a man and pressure answer. All right, so we talked about traditional 4 verticals. It becomes all right, I'm just going to kind of throw one into space. We want to have a man or pressure answer, and we also want to be able to hold a safety on one side so that if there's a one high safety, we can hold him with our eyes and we'll be able to throw the backside seam. So we are going to always build on the backside of a read concept, a seam read triangle. And what that means is we're going to have the seam read, the circle read, which we've already gone over, and then some type of drag or underneath route to hold under coverage. Okay, so in a quarterback's mind for us, if he hears that the play call is a read concept, he is going to have that locked front side concept that we've tagged, and he's going to work from that to the backside seam read triangle. Okay, so I'm going to take you through this in a lot of detail so you can kind of see the way that it works, but that's kind of the entire pattern. And once you build that, you can do a lot of things. So the pattern that you see now on the screen, this is our typical way of getting 4 verticals. And what you'll notice is there's not really 4 verticals. Okay, but we are going to put either stitch or squeeze on the front side, okay, to the field typically. And then we're going to put the read concept on the back side, okay, the seam. So the play that you see drawn up here for us would be A stitch right X read. That's the entire play call. So the way that we read this, okay, and we'll jump straight into it. So this seam read on the front side, okay, for years and years was typically just a locked seam for us, okay, no break-offs. He's running straight up the hash area, and that's how we're going to hold the safety with our eyes if there's a single safety or a hash safety. We're going to hold that guy there, and then we'll work to the backside. Well, we have really expanded that and added some juice to it. So now on the front side, I'm going to work, because it's one eye fix, the entire squeeze or stitch concept. Okay, and by using my eyes properly, I'm going to be able to do that, and I'm going to get a great pre-snap look, and then post-snap, I'm going to read it out. All right, but the problem, all right, what are the issues with reading it this way? Well, what you run into is that it's like being at a buffet and there's too many good options. Okay, a quarterback can be overwhelmed with all the cool stuff he's got. All right, because there's some good stuff here. Well, if we really want to throw squeeze and we really want to throw stitch, we can do that in a bunch of ways. All right. When we call our read concepts, so like when we're tagging X read, we really want to work this. Okay. We want to work that seam read triangle. That's why we're calling the play. Okay. This is an advantage side for us. All right. And the way to think about it is the whole point of this concept is to A, hold a safety so that I can throw a touchdown to the backside seam. Okay. Or it's to give me a pressure and man outlet or a gift throw. So the process for a quarterback in this is I'm going to work this versus pressure number 1. Okay. Pressure number 1. This enables me to get the ball out fast, whether it's a zero look or whether I feel like there's heat coming and that may break down my protection. I can take an easy completion. So I've got pressure 1, okay, and you got great answers there, all right. And number 2, this is a side that I'm going to throw first downs and touchdowns. Okay, if I don't have one of those 3 things, we really want the mindset to be, okay, I want to work the seam read triangle. So, you know, in talking to a quarterback, especially as they get more experienced, you know, they may see things and they may take things here, and we're going to live with that and be okay with it. But when we're teaching young quarterbacks, the thing is, okay, do I have pressure? All right, if I don't, then for me to throw this, it's going to have to be a first down to touchdown type throw. Okay, otherwise, I'm going to get my eyes there and let the routes develop on the backside. Okay, so that's my advantage side is the lock concept, and I can take that stuff versus pressure for first downs or touchdowns. Okay, so a quick example so you understand what I'm saying about first downs. Touchdowns are pretty self-evident. I'm in a situation where I've got a corner that's 12 yards off, okay, and it's 3rd and 5. We're not going to pass up the wide open stitch or squeeze for a first down where we can catch it and get some nice run after catch. Okay, that's a first down throw. We're going to take first down throws. If it's a press zero type situation, that's our man answer. We're going to try and throw the slot fade for a touchdown. Okay, so you've got those things: pressure, touchdowns, checkdowns. First downs. If we don't get that, then we scan to the backside. Okay, and the triangle that we're forming is basically, if you think of it as a number, okay, say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 in the triangle. I really want to see 2 and feel 1 and 3. Okay, so when we're teaching this to young kids, we're going to talk about, all right, we're going to go to the seam read second. Okay, that's our concept. And then we're going to work outside to the drag. Okay, but what we really want for a quarterback, if you look at how this is described at the bottom, is really your second read is the read. Since that's an option route, I've got to get my eyes on it and really feel what's going on. And I need to be able to feel where this gets covered from. Okay, if I'm really getting color in the triangle from the outside, the ball should be probably coming to the drag. Okay, if I'm getting color from the outside, the ball should probably be going to the circle read. And it becomes a thing where you can train your eyes to see all 3 parts of that triangle. And 2 zone defenders should not be able to cover those 3 routes. That's the way we feel about it, especially with the streak read. We can drag the running back, or we can swing him. We like to do a lot of play action fakes where we leak him through on the drag, but we're going to get something underneath to form the bottom part of this triangle. And that's the way the read concept works for this play. And it's one of the best things we do, and it's one of our #1 passes year after year after year.